Good morning, everybody. Happy day after Mother's Day for all you moms out there, and also for women who don't have kids, because it's really, I think, the Divine Mother's Day. And also, acknowledging that not all Mother's Days are easy and fabulous, because if maybe you're like me and you lost a child, so it's always melancholy and bittersweet. I did wind up having a wonderful day, but it's always tinged with sadness, because Jack is what made me a mom. And sometimes you have a strange relation, well, strange maybe, but a strained relationship with your mom, or maybe your mom passed on or whatever. So I just want to acknowledge Mother's Day as not being awesome for everybody. But that being said, happy day after Mother's Day. And maybe we could kind of honor the Divine Mother and Mother Earth, which is kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. That was maybe a good segue. I'm not quite sure. But today I wanted to talk about the divine feminine and the patriarchy. And I am reading this amazing book that I'm kind of obsessed with right now. And it's one of those books, and I keep leaving it in the other room because I want to keep posting it, but I keep forgetting, is The Heroines Journey by Maureen Murdock. And it's the type of book that you have to or at least I have to kind of read in little nibbles and chunks, and then you just absorb it and stuff. So it's lots of really good nuggets of information about just being a woman and being a female of our species. And so if you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm all about the hero's journey, and that we are all the hero on our own journey, and we're finding our path, and we have challenges, and we have allies, and we have enemies, and we have a whole bunch of stuff, right? And the whole thing is about slaying the dragon and facing your fears and becoming your most authentic self. So this book that I'm reading kind of goes beyond that, but it is also, very focused on the hero's journey, particularly is focused more on the man's journey. And so the heroine's journey focuses on the woman's journey and how it's different from men. Men, first of all, and I wasn't going to talk about this today because I want to save it for another topic, because it was it's all about the 4 different archetypes of women, or female archetypes. But men their hormone system is a 24-hour cycle, and ours is a 28-day cycle. It goes with the rhythms with the moon and all this really kind of cool, groovy stuff, right? But we've been conditioned to abide by a man's 24-hour kind of cycle, right? And that doesn't work for us, where it's just longer and more communal, and there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff that goes on within our natural cycle that aligns with the moon. And so in this book, The Heroine's Journey, Maureen Murdock, which she wrote this in 1990, so it's kind of dated, but it's just steeped in archetypal and Jungian psychology, and it's just, which kind of goes beyond the eons, right? That being said, there was some, stuff in there that's oh, okay, this is definitely written in 1990, right? So she explores the hero's journey along with the patriarchy and how it has negatively affected women's psyche. Okay. And so in essence, we've been conditioned by the patriarchy in society to go to school, go to college, get the career, get married, have the kids, join the PTA, climb the corporate ladder, shuffle kids to school and appointments and all the things, and continue to do all the things for all of the people. All action-oriented stuff is masculine energy, okay? All like receptive, intuitive, mystical stuff is all feminine, right? And so we've been conditioned to like do, right? And then what happens is then we get burnt out, we get exhausted, we're stressed out, and then we're like, okay, what the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing wrong, right? So according to the book, which is super cool, I'm like reading notes, so like that's why I'm looking down. This has been a deep ancestral conditioning, okay? Like she highlighted the 1950s, okay? And we have been conditioned ancestrally for hundreds of years, thousands of years, right? But she used the 1950s housewife as like a really good symbol of this. And so it's like, the husband or the man goes to work and then we come home and we give him a martini and make him the banana bread. And he's just kind of like kicking it. And like, we're like, okay, we have to do this because this is part of our role, right? It's the memo. If you guys watched, if you guys listened to or read Untamed, like she's like, did everybody get the memo? Like I loved that concept, but good book also. If you guys haven't read it, read that. But what is happening is that like, because we've been conditioned to serve, it's doing harm to our psyche if we're doing it all the time, right? Like we have to have that balance, always have to have that balance. And so, our mother's generation, right, like was fighting against this, right? And it was like the whole feminist movement and all this kind of stuff. And so then they started to go out like, well, we're not going to do this. We're going to do the same thing that you're doing, right? So then they kind of leaned into that masculine energy, which is great, right? But again, it's about striking that balance, right? And so when we kind of grow up with, moms potentially doing it all, right? And still having that archetype of like the 1950s Stepford wife, let me serve you and do all the things. Our generation as like midlifers, right? Which I'm still like, okay, yeah, I'm totally in midlife, but it's I want to come up with a better word for midlife. Can you guys like drop some stuff in there and give me some like, something better than midlife? But I don't know. I'm just trying to, think of a better word for midlife than midlife because it sounds so like, anyway. But when we combine those two aspects of like the Stepford wife and then like the 1970s, 80s, I could do it all woman, our generation is left with, okay, now we really, really have to do it all, right? So like the guy comes home in the 1950s, he's getting his martini, he's getting his feet rubbed, like whatever. And we are now doing it all, right? Like raising kids and, running businesses or climbing the corporate ladder or doing all the things. And what also is happening is like, we're not coming home to somebody who is going to nurture that in us. We come home and we're like, oh shit, I got to do the laundry and I got to like go to the supermarket and I got to make sure that the kids have their appointments and all the things, right? And so what she's saying, and even today, is that we have to strike that balance between the doing and the receiving. And according to this book, and I know I could speak the truth for myself, is that women want that nurturance and support. And then we seek it out in community, right? With, this online community or like, book clubs or just getting together with girlfriends because they're nurturing to our soul. Okay. And so the hero's journey is all about learning how to take care of ourselves. and how to tend to ourselves and how to nurture ourselves. And our journey isn't so much an external one about slaying the dragon, climbing the corporate ladder, and doing all the things or whatever it is in a man's world, but like more about going within, because that dragon is in the cave, right? But for us, it's about allowing ourselves to go into that cave and just rest and be and stopping that hustle. Like yesterday, like I don't know, maybe it was yesterday morning, Rob was like, what do you want to do today? And I was like, nothing. I don't want to do anything, and I don't want to do any cooking or cleaning. And so he was like, okay. And that's really what I want. I'm like, I want resting, and I want no back talk from my kids. I don't want to hear no all day long. So, but for me, that's really restorative. And so this book, and I think also being a woman in midlife, is about slowing down, is about nurturing yourself. And it's also about embracing like that, the darkness, the deeper part of yourself, the shadowy part of yourself, because that's also where the mystical lives. And that's also where the magical lives and the intuitive lives. So that is what I wanted to share with you, lovelies, today. I am going to sign off. And, for whoever's on there, drop what you guys did yesterday. I'd love to hear how your day was. But that is it. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And go pick up that book. It's really good. Like if you're interested in like psychology and mysticism and Jungian archetypes, it's really a fascinating read. And it's called The Heroines Journey by Maureen Murdock. That's it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.